Hello and welcome to another episode. This is going to be different. It's not going to be a Let's Question. It's not going to be a Let's Love. And it's not going to be a Let's Hate either. Rather, it's going to be a challenge series. This is actually going to be a full series this time. That's quite new for this channel. Anyways, what is this challenge series that I'm doing here? Well, it's a series where I pretty much do challenges for specific games as long as they are possible. For games like Super Meat Boy No Death Challenge, that's pretty much impossible for me, so I'm never going to do that. Especially the I Want to Be the Guy No Death Challenge, that is also pretty much impossible because, god damn it, you actually need to memorize where everything is. Pretty sure somebody could do it, but that's somebody who dedicates their life into I Want to Be the Guy and stuff like that. No, instead it's going to be from a game called Rayman 2. Rayman 2 for the PC at that. This game pretty much came out on quite a bit of consoles. It came out initially for the Dreamcast, and then it got ported to the Nintendo 64 and the PC at the same time. Around the same time, I would say. And then came the PS1 version, which was highly inferior. It was probably one of the worst versions, because it chopped down the amount of lumps you had to collect by about 200 or maybe more. I'll put an annotation up in the video to say about how much less lumps you need to collect in the PS1 version, and there are less areas in that port, so it was generally inferior. Then came the PS2 version, which was fairly good, except it suffered a lot of frame rate issues and stuff like that. It had an overworld, it had more areas and extra content in the PS2 version, but it suffered greatly from its frame rate issues. So, I'm guessing then came the DS version, which was, quite frankly, it was not that great. Everything was pretty much blurry, because, you know, it's the DS. And they kind of changed up the way you use their flying rocket, so it was pretty much really difficult to actually beat the final boss in the DS version. Then came the iOS version, I believe. The iOS version was terrible, maybe because you can't really do platformers on a touchscreen device. I don't see how it could possibly work. Unless it's like one of those infinitely running games, or one of those games that you just automatically run, and all you have to do is tap on the screen to jump or do some tap combination, hold, and stuff like that. You know, like the newer Rayman Jungle Run. Something like that. Anyways, and then came the 3DS version, which was actually quite good. I think it was mainly the N64 type port that was on the 3DS, and the 3D effects actually helped some people with the depth perception in this game, because depth perception is kind of a problem in this title. But the 3DS kind of fixed that, so if you put on 3D mode, although if you're going into cinematics, there is ghosting in the cinematics. For those of you who don't know what ghosting is basically if you're watching something on a really old television or playing a high-end game on a really low-res monitor, then you're going to see like copies of moving objects following the moving objects, you know, kind of like mouse trail. If you enable mouse trail, it's kind of like that. That's pretty much what ghosting is. So anyways, that's pretty much what the 3DS port suffers from. I'm not sure what else it suffers from, if anything else but the ghosting in the cinematics, but you can just turn off 3D in the cinematics and not have ghosting whatsoever. So there is that. Apart from that, that's quite a bit of platforms that this game actually came out on. That's how popular this game was, I suppose. Rayman 3 was, it was okay, but it wasn't as good as this one. Rayman 1 was pretty much a classic in every right, but not as much as Rayman 2 was. I mean, I first played this game when I had it on the Nintendo 64, and I'll actually tell you when I get into the damn game. So what is the challenge here? The challenge here is I can only die once, and that's it. Well, what do you mean by I can only die once? I can't die at all. If I die even once, then that's it. This playthrough is over. It's done. No ifs, ands, or buts. I die at all, and it's done. Which means that as soon as the health bar pretty much goes dry and the game over screen pops up, I believe that this game had a game over screen. Pretty much as soon as my health runs all the way down to 0, then that's it. The game is done. Well, this playthrough is. I will be saving because, you know, I can't just do an entire playthrough of this without dying in one go. I did that once when I had the Nintendo 64 port, but I was pretty much at my Nintendo 64 all day long. I'll do lengthy videos of this, probably ranging between 20, maybe 15 to 20 minutes long, depending. So yeah, let's go ahead and get on through. The game is going to be IIN for insert IM name, and let's go ahead and get started with this one death permadeath challenge for Rayman 2. The game has been saved successfully. Press the enter button to continue.
They'll never fall shit. Do you want me more this too? No, what's bad? Never stew. Callan Brooks stew. I won't change it. Huh? Leah, Phil. Do what I need. Just be the Brewster. Oh, we gotta do. Oh, you're the devil. I was believed. Give me the much color. Yeah! Rayman! Oh, you're the devil. Totally consider all I need.
Alright, and now begins the actual playthrough. But before we go ahead, let's change up the sound a bit. Let's lower the music. Yeah, let's just lower that because I'm pretty sure that's really, really loud. Alright, so anyways, this game. This game was a huge part of my childhood. Let's see. Okay, so B on this gamepad is to jump, A is to shoot. I don't think... Okay, X is to turn the camera right, and Y is to turn the camera left. Right trigger lets you strafe. left trigger doesn't do anything, I don't think. And right mouse button, wait, the right bumper brings up the HUD, and left bumper does the same thing that Y does. Wait, that right trigger does. That's right. I don't think the D-pad doesn't do anything, select doesn't do anything, start doesn't do anything, and the home button doesn't do anything. L3 does nothing, and R3 does nothing. So the only buttons you really need to worry about is A, B, Y, X, and the trigger. Those are pretty much the only things you need to worry about. So anyways, this is our friend Glowbox. And his eyes are kind of like praying mantis because they follow us wherever we go. Wherever the camera is, he will look straight at us. Much like a praying mantis. Now, right stick pretty much does nothing. It is a dead stick. So we're going to completely ignore it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start it. So pretty much like I was saying before, this game was a big part of my childhood when I used to have a Nintendo 64. This was actually the only game that I rented week after week from Blockbuster. And when I say that, it's mainly because that I actually really liked this game. It was darker than most kids' games that I've played these days. I actually liked it more than I did Mario 64, to be honest. So now we're loading into a new area, and I'm going to restart Bandicam as soon as this cutscene is over to see if the recording went out okay. Like, because we all know how Bandicam is when it comes to loading screens. So he jumps on top of the branch and searches for his friend with no avail. Alright, so now we're in the game. Well, we're in the tutorial level. And you could when you hear that, there is a cage nearby that's squeaking sound. Yeah, the squeaking sound, and occasionally you'll hear help. So if you press B while in midair, you'll do a helicopter thing. There's a bunch of advanced moves that you would want to learn, that you will learn further in the game. So anyways, let me go ahead and restart this recording, and I'll see you in a... Alright, we're back. So, I believe it's actually possible to die in the tutorial level. So this is Murphy. He is pretty much a less annoying Navi, but he is still kind of annoying, but for some reason he likes to whisper to us, instead of just straight up talking. There's nobody around us, Murphy. Or is there something that you know that we don't? So yeah, he's gonna be our guide. A very quiet guide. So yeah, this game does not show you which buttons do which on a gamepad. It'll show you which buttons on the keyboard do something. But I'm using a gamepad because, quite frankly, with platformers, gamepads work better than keyboard does. I'm just gonna say that right now. This is the games like a platformer or a fighting game. I will always use a gamepad if it's supported. If it's not supported, then oh well, there's nothing I can do about it then. But apart from that, I will pretty much always use a gamepad when it comes to this kind of game. So anyways, we broke our first cage, and he's going to tell us about the fire cages and the lobbies. So I think with as soon as we collect his alarm, I think maybe one of the buttons does something now. No? D-pad? Any part of the D-pad? No? No? Okay, so we hold down J. Wait, J's for the HUD. So doesn't that theoretically... I don't know. It says hold down J. And I don't know. I guess it doesn't really work in this version. Basically what was supposed to pop up is like a lore book sort of thing. But skill won't really hurt us. Trust me, I know. I just know. Okay. Yeah. You wanna know why? Press J. J has been pressed. Except J just does nothing. So we will ignore it for the rest of our lives. So anyways, as I was saying, I would rent this game out week after week at Blockbuster because I actually like this game more than Super Mario 64. And Super Mario 64 was actually also a really big game part of my childhood. And I actually did a no-death challenge on this game for the Nintendo 64 before, but it wasn't really by choice. Now, I was one of the people, one of the kids, who did not have a rumble pack for the Nintendo 64, so I could not save certain games. And as it so happened, this game was one of those games that needed a rumble pack to save. So he breaks it to the kids and they start crying, and then he's like, hey, I'll find them, don't worry.
They'll never float you. They're now still. No, isn't. Forward considerable one day. It's into yeah. Oh, you're the Zabba. Hey! No, isn't.
Alright, so now we gotta rescue Lee. Lee is one of the important characters of this. I apologize about that. I'll go ahead and edit that out. Just, you know, some interruptions. Continuing on. So I completely forgot where I was in that little story. I think something about. Here's Murphy again. See these two walls? Yes, I do see these two walls. Okay. 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 Alright. Okay. Yeah, the controls for the keyboard on this game is kind of weird. That's all the lumps. And here's the final cage, and we're about to see the Twinsies.
Hey! Forward to considerable one day. It's into yeah. Stop! Now what's booty? Oh, yeah, it was you!
Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and go to the Fairy Glade, which is the second level of this world. There are multiple worlds to go to, although there is one main world map thing. But we do go to different styles of places, and when I get back, I'll continue my story about this game and such after Mary has finished speaking. Yes, I now am in the hall doors. Okay. 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 Alright. Alright. Okay, now, the only thing I'm going to say right now is that the bonus stages are probably going to be really hard because I have no idea what buttons they will be on the gamepad. I'll find out when I do get max lums and cages on the marshlands, because you cannot get max lums and cages on the Fairy Glade, because there's one cage that you can't get to until you get back to the Fairy Glade from another level. So this was the first part of the one death permadeath challenge for Rayman 2, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, have a nice day. I'll see you next time.